The Maple Leafs get one step closer to the bottom five, but tomorrow's tilt against Florida might decide it. You're listening to the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast hosted by myself, Mike DeStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morassutti. What's happening, pal? How we feeling about last night's ugly loss to the New York Islanders? We feeling good about it or bad about it? Where you at?
Man, just so frustrated. We're not pushing for this team to win. It has nothing to do with the wins or losses. It has more to do with the fact that you got a guy coming in, making his first NHL start. How do you come out for the kid? You get outshot 24-3 in the first period.
Yeah, it's brutal. Like, just a brutal start. Just, leaving the kid, hanging him out to dry. And, he had to come up with some pretty big saves. Obviously, lose the game, but he ends up facing 44 shots in the game. Like you mentioned it, half of them coming in the first period. Like, welcome to the NHL. Artur Akhtyamov, welcome. This is what Joseph Woll's been dealing with and Anthony Stolarz have been dealing with all season long. And he got thrown right to the Wolves in last night's tilt against the New York Islanders. And arguably one of the worst games I think that the Maple Leafs have played this season. Like, it just truly looked like a team that did not care to go out and win that game. Like, there was just barely any compete level. And if you look at the underlying numbers, Dave, that it was the highest expected goals against literally all season for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So by quite a hefty margin, by almost 2 full goals, expected goals against from last night, based on the amount of shots they gave up, scoring chance. They had 43 scoring chances in that game last night. 43 scoring chances against to a team that's battling for a playoff spot. It's not like it was the Colorado or Edmonton or Tampa or Carolina. It was the Islanders who fired their coach. This is only game one under Pete DeBoer, and they went out there and absolutely smacked around the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, and the best part about all this is, people are having a hard time watching these games. Kudos to those who are standing and watching for 60 minutes like we are. But the worst part of it is you go and you call up Luke Ames, you get Akhtyamov his first start. Those guys get to play. But then Ryan Tverberg and William Villanova were called up. And Craig Berube decides we're going to keep him on standby in case one of our other guys can't go.
Why? Why?
You're telling me that these two couldn't do any worse than the guys that you had in the lineup?
Dude, like I said the other day, I'm done with Philip Myers. Like, we know what Philip Myers is. There's absolutely no reason to have him in the lineup. No reason to have that guy out there playing any minutes for the Maple Leafs at this point. Explain to me why he's out there playing minutes, heavy-ish. Well, I don't know, heavy is the right word, but he ended up playing 15, 16 minutes last night in the game and had the worst expected goals I think I've ever seen. Literally, I think I've ever seen. 15-37 time on ice, expected goals percentage of 2.81. 2.8 expected goals. He was on the ice for 2.3 expected goals. Outchanced 17-1 when he was out there on the ice. Gave up 8 high danger scoring chances. Not a single high danger chance was generated when he was out there on the ice. So Philip Myers was doing a whole lot of nothing last night. The pair, yeah, as a pair, they were just brutal last night. Couldn't get the puck out of their zone, turning it over. They weren't winning any battles. It was just ugly. And you're gonna tell me that William Villanova can't get into this game? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? What's the point of having these kids up here, wasting what could be developmental games in the American League just to have them sit and watch that? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's this is again, and it's not just the one time. Like this has been all season long, right? That they've been doing this. That they have been deciding that, you know what, we're gonna call these guys up. It's good experience for them to be around. I'm like, no, it's not. The experience comes from actually playing, not sitting in the press box watching. Because guess what? You can go and sit at home and watch games. You can go and sit in the film room and watch games. You can go and play with the Marlies and get more experience and development than sitting in the press box. I mean, look, good on Luke Hames getting his first crack at NHL life, and I mean, he was one of the few players that actually wasn't terrible. Like he looked like a player that actually wanted to go out and play a hockey game last night.
Yeah, I mean, there's motivation for a guy like that who, again, and that's why it did make sense also, like, to not put Villanova out there. Like, there's motivation for these young players to come up, and I'm not saying that they're gonna win. Like, I don't know, maybe this is some way for them. This is the way the Leafs know how to tank, by playing Phil Myers instead of a motivated Villanova, by playing, maybe Luke Hames out there, but. Just a very disappointing game overall. Again, I wasn't expecting a win, I can tell you that, but I was not expecting 7.05 expected goals against, for Akhtyamov's first game. Like, they just did not really care. It didn't seem like there was a whole lot of purpose or passion out there for the Maple Leafs. They got absolutely waxed. They lost pretty much every puck battle. They weren't battling in front of the net at all. The Islanders just had their way with the Maple Leafs, and it turns into a 5-3 gong show. And I think that honestly, the Leafs are a little lucky that it was so close in the score, because that score 5-3 not indicative whatsoever in how badly the Islanders outplayed the Maple Leafs. But here's one of the takeaways I have from that game, and it's that Matthew Schaefer is one hell of a player, dude. Like, this kid is disgusting, and he's going to be a very good player in this league for a very long time.
Yeah, this is what happens when you keep your picks and you get a little lottery luck. Like that, the Islanders fell into the biggest gold mine, or whatever you want to call it. The Islanders had no business getting Matthew Schaefer. They were nowhere near the bottom, right? So some people can be like, oh, they're all little. Yeah, like it's you just don't. I don't think people realize how fortunate the Islanders got with this pick to get this player. And so it also shows that, you know what, one player can actually make a difference, especially on the blue line. Almost like the Leafs should put themselves in a position to maybe improve their odds of getting that pick.
Yeah,
they need.
Yeah. I mean, last night they did themselves a favor in that regard, right? They lose in regulation. They pick up no points. Seattle decided to come from behind and win, pick up 2 points.
I watched that shootout. I've never been so glued into a shootout.
Yeah, yeah. Did you?
I watched I
didn't watch the shootout.
Third period on. There were some dicey moments in overtime, especially when Eichel and Marner were out on the ice together. But yeah, dude, Matty Beniers, ridiculous shootout goal. And then their rookie, was it Paul Cotter?
Yeah, he's not a rookie. Paul Cotter, no.
20-year. Well, they said he's a 20-year-old rookie. He scored
Berkeley Catton.
He scored
for the Kraken.
For the Kraken.
Berkeley Catton.
Sorry, Cadden. I was thinking of the Devils player.
That's why I'm like, Paul Cotter is like a veteran in the league.
Yeah. So
you're 30.
Cadden.
Talking about.
Okay, almost. I don't know. This is the problem. I don't know the Kraken roster. This is why they're.
Bob McMahon scored another Geno last night. That I do know. Know. So McMahon doing his part in helping the Maple Leafs get a little closer to the bottom, because he's not scoring goals for them. He's doing it for Seattle now, and scored the game time goal, take it to OT, and then Berkeley Catton ends up with the shootout winner there.
Very
for
nice. Very nice.
Seattle.
Really good shootout for them.
Well, that's
It
kind of
gives
a
me
bump,
hope.
right? They fire they fire
Ron
their
Francis.
president, and all of a sudden, they win a game, end of skid, win a game, and now Toronto within 1 point. Within 1 point of 28th place, which would put them in the bottom 5 and give them the best chance at retaining that first round pick. Something else that would give them a good chance to stick around the bottom 5, a loss Saturday night to the Florida Panthers, the team they're tied against. Let's come back and get into just how big that game is for the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's also some updates on the Leafs GM search. They have sought permission to speak to a couple AGMs, so we'll talk about that next as well. I'm Mike DeStefano with Dave Morassutti. You're listening to the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
Today's edition of the Locked On Leafs podcast is brought to you by Quo. Spring is a natural reset point. If there's one thing that can quietly cost businesses money, it's messy communication. Missed calls, scattered texts, no clear thread of who said what. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2 with over 3,000 reviews, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses worldwide. It lets your entire team share one business number so you never miss a call, text, or opportunity. The whole team can see the conversation so nothing falls through the cracks. And the AI summaries that Quo provides save serious time by logging calls and highlighting the next steps automatically. It just makes your business feel more organized and responsive. Make this the season, no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedonnhl. That's quo.com/lockedonnhl. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers.
Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DeStefano, Dave Morassutti with you, as we are each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, with brand new episodes of the Locked On Leafs podcast, free and available wherever you find your podcast. We're also on YouTube as well. And don't forget to check out the Everydayer Club for ad-free episodes and access to a group chat with myself and Dave and other listeners of the show. Tap the link in the show notes below or go to www.lockedonleafs.supercast.com. Dave, we got a big one tomorrow. I will say that. We got a big one tomorrow. The Maple Leafs play the Florida Panthers. And these two teams, I mean, it's funny how different things are from a year ago. Because if this was last year, and it was April 10th, you had Leafs, Panthers, you're thinking, okay, this is a statement game. These two have, possibly a collision course to face each other in the playoffs. This is a game where you got to go out there and you got to show one another what you got, right? And that's typically what we've come to know of the Leafs-Panthers matchup over the last few years. Not the case in tomorrow night's tilt. Both teams eliminated from playoff contention. Both teams tied near the bottom of the league with 78 points through 79 games with a .494 points percentage. Toronto technically does have, not technically, they have less regulation wins. Therefore, they are below the Panthers in the standings. And I think Toronto would like to keep it that way with a loss against Florida Saturday night. That would go a much longer way for them to get their pick back, because they're now just within 1 point of 28th. They're currently 27th, and it's getting to a point here where it's like they're either going to get the pick back, I think, or going to end up giving up the 6th overall pick to the Boston Bruins. So a loss to Florida would definitely be best case scenario for the Maple Leafs here tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, look, at this rate, that win from Seattle gave a little bit of hope that the bottom 5 can still be a possibility. If you look at the Kraken schedule, it's not great. You got the Flames.
Calgary's winnable.
Calgary's winnable. So, like, you have to hope that they can get. I don't know if the Leafs have the tiebreaker on the Kraken either. That's the other part I have to look at.
No, they don't. So the Leafs, if they tie Seattle, because they've got 2 less regulation wins, so the Leafs would fall below Seattle.
So, like, all the Leafs need is lose out, and Seattle just needs 1 point.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all it's needed. It's not like we're asking a lot, but the problem is when your fate relies on another team. I hate that. I still get nightmares over 2000 and
the Islanders.
The Islanders needing to lose to the Devils in that shootout, and the Devils don't even play Marty Brodeur because the guy played like 79 games that year. And why would we put him in a meaningless regular season game? And just watching the Leafs miss the playoffs.
That's Scott Clemenson who played that game for the Islanders. I think it was Scotty Clemenson.
Well, the goaltender for the Islanders was Wade Dubelitz. I remember specifically that he poke checked the final guy. And I was actually, it was Easter. I think it was Easter.
Yeah.
And I was just watching that and just going, like, no, this hurts. It hurts. And that's going to be the feeling if the Leafs don't get to the bottom 5. Because I know, even if they finish bottom 6, if they in that 6 range, they could still get some lottery luck. You and I have run how many draft simulators to know?
Yeah, we'll do another one later today. Don't worry. We'll do another one toward the end of the show.
So, like, the Leafs have, like, when they got those points, like, just think about that meaningless point they got in Anaheim.
Yeah.
The meaningless point they got in LA.
Yeah.
They would be in the bottom 5 right now.
Yes.
But no, Will Indiana's got to play 20 minutes a night. Matthew Nyes has to play even though he's hurt.
Yeah.
And I get it. You don't want to make it obvious. The Florida Panthers have sat half their lineup because the guys are hurt. Maybe not injured, but they're hurt.
Right. Now it feels like Toronto, kind of got the memo and has started to do that with guys who get banged up. Like, we saw Dakota Joshua didn't play last night, probably not playing for the rest of the year. I'm going to assume we're going to see the same kind of unfold with Anthony Stolarz, probably not going to play, and Brandon Carlo also. Now, there's no, I guess they had to get imaging done, and that won't be in until later today to get the full breakdown.
There was a delay in the paperwork. Sorry, we have to redo it. I don't know.
I don't know. So, that just goes to tell me that they're kind of stringing it along. And I don't think we see those guys for the rest of it, which again, it's like, okay, then let's get Verberg in there. Let's get Villanova in there. Give them a shot here, especially in this meaningless game against Florida. It's like, if they get beat, oh, well, that's better for the Maple Leafs. I would say certainly let them play those games against Dallas and Ottawa. They're probably going to lose anyway, but give them that experience. But it's going to be an interesting game. It's so weird how both teams, it's April 10th and it's completely meaningless from like a competitive standpoint, but it means a lot from more so for the Leafs, because like the Panthers, their pick was top 10 protected. Novel idea. So like the Panthers are fine. Like that pick's going to be.
They don't need to worry. Like they're fine.
They're fine. Like at this point, it's just whether or not they want to pick 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Like that's really the difference for the Florida Panthers. But this one means so much to the Leafs. A win, could shoot them, right back to 80 points, put them ahead of St. Louis, ahead of Florida. And then end up, being 3 points back on Seattle with not a long runway to go. And all of a sudden, you're going to give up a top 10 pick to the Boston Bruins. So I truly believe that this is like must lose if your team tank. Like you end up winning this game, it becomes nearly impossible, I think, for the Maple Leafs to bottom out into the bottom 5. But you lose here and Seattle picks up a point. They play Calgary, which is a very winnable game for them.
Especially watched Calgary last night.
Yeah, and there's some winnable games for the Kraken, right? Like they got Calgary, they got the Kings who have been like okay recently.
Hey, OT Kings. There's a point there up for grabs.
There you go. Like they're almost guaranteed to go to overtime. They've gone to overtime in like a quarter of their games so far. So, Seattle could take them to overtime, and they play Vegas again. Well, they just beat Vegas in a shootout, and Colorado, the last team on their schedule.
And maybe Colorado will just decide, you know what? It's the last game of the regular season.
Well, I don't know if that's the last game of the season. I was just looking at.
It was the last. I know it was Seattle's last game. It is Colorado's last game.
Okay, it is okay. Perfect. So yeah, some of the, they're probably gonna end up, maybe sitting a couple guys just to make them healthy, keep them rested, and make sure no one gets hurt. And maybe that's a chance for Seattle to pick up a point or so. So there's some winnable games here for Seattle. Or Toronto, you got Florida. We got Florida on Saturday, and then you've got Dallas on Monday, and then you finish things off. You're going up to Ottawa to finish off the season on Wednesday. So just 3 games left for the Maple Leafs. Going 0-3 would be best case scenario for the Maple Leafs if they want to keep that record. Do you want to do a draft lottery sim? Why don't we do a little sim before we get into the news of the day of the latest in the GM search? Let me just pull up the Tankathon, and we'll do a little sim here, Dave. Let's pull this up. There we go. All right, so here's how it sets up for everybody. If the simulator was done today, Vancouver with the best odds, Chicago with the second best odds, Calgary, New York Rangers, Seattle, and then Toronto there. 6th best odds to land in the top, one of these top 2 picks. A reminder that it's 2 draft spots there, 2 lottery positions, so they can move up to second or first. But if they don't and they remain in 6th, or one of these other teams leapfrog them, that pick does go to the Boston Bruins. So without further ado, Dave, we got the bongos.
I'm ready.
Let's go. Oh man! So they moved down. The Devils.
Hey, you know what? At least they don't give the 6th pick.
Yeah, but now that means that Sunny Mehta gets the choice to go to the Devils, the number 1 pick in the draft. Who do you think he's taking? The team that doesn't have a draft pick in the first round, or the team with the first overall pick in the first round? What do you? This is not good. This would not be a good scenario for the Maple Leafs. Do it one more time. One more time.
Ready?
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, let's go.
Problem is if only we can allow the draft lottery simulator to happen a couple times.
Oh, I know. Could you imagine getting it done twice? So the Maple Leafs have moved up, and the Leafs win the draft lottery. Only the second time, though. It's not bad. We want to do it twice for the Maple Leafs to win it. So
that one time we did it, it was almost like 10, 15 times.
Yeah, we did like 13 times before they. And I don't think they won. I think they moved up to second to keep the pick. So.
Okay.
Yeah, the Maple Leafs.
I'll take 1 or 2. I'll tell. It doesn't matter.
I'll take either or. I would take either or too. Would you take? Who'd you take the number 1 pick if the Maple Leafs end up with the pick? Would you take?
Oh man,
you take a McKenna?
I mean,
the problem is, like, they need a blue liner so bad.
They need that defenseman more than they need. Like McKenna would be great to have.
Yeah.
Like, but you're also like they have no one on that blue line that you could say is a franchise defenseman.
Yeah, like Keaton Verhoff, Chase Reed. Like, there's a couple of good defensemen out there. I just, obviously those are guys who are a little further down the board. Like Gavin McKenna and that Ivar Stenberg kid from Sweden. Those are the projected top 2 players in the draft. And then you've got a couple of actually, there's like could end up being like a run of defensemen. There's a few that could go in the bottom 5. So it's like if the Leafs end up sticking and picking, or they get to the bottom 5, they're in a pretty good position to get a defenseman.
If only, again, this is where the top 10 protected, not having a top 10 protected really pisses me off, because this wouldn't even be an issue. Because at least probably get a really good defenseman. Yeah. If they're even if they had 6 or 7, they get a good defenseman.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at a mock draft right now where the Bruins would be selecting Albert Smits from Jokerit, 6'3", 205 pounds, played 38 games in Liga this year with 13 points, and left shot defenseman.
Played for Latvia at the Olympics.
Played for Latvia at the Olympic Games, and that's who the Bruins would be selecting with the Leafs pick if they end up, and getting a top 10 pick here. Right now, it's projected to be the 6th overall selection, and it's a better player than Brandon Carlo probably, and Fraser Minton
I'm
on
sure
top of it.
Once we know the Leafs kind of fate going into the end of the season, maybe we could actually get some.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We'll
If the Leafs end up getting their pick, because we got the draft lottery on
May 5th.
Yeah, which again, we're going to live stream the draft lottery. We're going to live stream it, and hopefully they can win this thing. But if they end up with a top 5 pick and retain their draft pick, then yeah, we will definitely spend a good amount of time, looking into these prospects, doing some deep dives, talking to some scouts around the NHL, and get a better understanding of what the top of the draft looks like, who the Maple Leafs will have a chance to bring into the organization. But if they give up that first overall or that first round pick and they end up in 6th or 7th place, it's going to be tough to have that draft talk, and knowing that the Leafs don't have a first round pick and don't really have a future as well. It's going to be tough. All right, we'll take a break. Let's come back. There's an update, a name that the Maple Leafs have decided to speak to in the GM search. We'll get to that next here in the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DeStefano, Dave Morassutti with you as we are each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, with brand new episodes of the podcast coming out each night or each morning. Follow along wherever you get your podcasts and also on YouTube as well. So a few things happened in the NHL last night. We'll get to the Leafs news in just a moment. But the Montreal Canadiens, big win. Cole Caulfield gets his 50th goal. That was massive for Montreal. And, a win over the Lightning put them in 2nd place, gives them home ice advantage if the season were to end today against Tampa Bay. Obviously, Pittsburgh, they clinch a playoff spot. So Kyle Dubas and the Pittsburgh Penguins going to the postseason. Unlike the Toronto Maple Leafs, but they clinch a playoff spot last night. I believe that'll lock them in too, pretty much to home ice in round 1, as the Flyers and the Islanders are 6 and 7 points back of them. And obviously Ottawa, big win last night too, to kind of put them, a little bit
into the driver's seat. Yeah,
into the driver's seat. I think they're like 90% odds to make the playoffs now after that win last night. That was huge. And then Detroit and New York close to 91 points, but running at a runway over there. On the west side of things, you had you had a couple of games over there. Utah ended up clinching a playoff spot last night. So the Utah Mammoth, the rebuild is finally over. They're finally going to make the playoffs here, Dave. So they clinch a wild card spot with 90 points, and
the Mammoth will make its NHL playoff debut.
The Zammoth, that's right. We'll see the Zammoth all the way through the playoffs, and the LA Kings with a win last night puts them back into a playoff spot, which would also be good for Team Tank, because that, of course, converted.
The Sharks did a big favor too by getting absolutely shellacked by the Ducks. John Carlson, first NHL hat trick, first career hat trick.
Carlson, yeah, I saw that. Apparently, he said he always wanted to score a hat trick in the NHL. It took him 17 years, but it happens.
12 points in 13 games with the Ducks, I think. So it's pretty worthwhile trade for them.
Yeah, I would say I liked that trade a lot when that went down. I thought it was a real quality trade for the Anaheim Ducks. So yeah, quite a bit going on in the NHL last night there. You think Cole Caulfield can close in on McKinnon for the Rocket?
You like to think so, but Nathan McKinnon could just be like, I'll just go out and score 2 or 3 goals in a game. And I think there's
two goals difference right now. Nate's got 52, Cole Caulfield with 50.
it's just not a lot of runway left, right? So Caulfield's going to have to get a hat trick in there somewhere to really make it interesting.
Well, I think it's already.
It is interesting.
Yeah,
just to make it like, to me, if he goes and he scores, 3 goal. I think how many games do the Canadians have left? 3 or 4?
3. And
if he scores
Habs
1,
4.
yeah, like I don't know if I could see McKinnon. Yeah, like I think,
dude,
the more he scores.
You know what tomorrow is, though, don't you? Saturday night. Cole Caulfield is Mr. Saturday Night. Could very well. Like, he's got one more Saturday. Like, if he has a multi-goal night tomorrow, we're in business to see that happen. But yeah, nothing going on for the Maple Leafs. Obviously, they're firmly eliminated and out of a playoff spot. And big game against the Panthers tomorrow. Obviously, we've talked about that ad nauseum. Good chance to speak with Sunny Mehta, you think, the assistant GM of the Florida Panthers, who the Maple Leafs are now seeking permission to speak with. And obviously, he's a guy that has been linked quite heavily to the Maple Leafs in their GM search. He, is a heavily analytical lens and has, been a big member of the front office there for the Panthers under Bill Zito. Sounds like they're looking to seek permission and have a chat with him. Most likely, I believe he sounds like he's the front runner at this point for the job, and sounds like he'll get a chance to speak with Toronto here soon.
Yeah, and this is the part where you kind of expected they were going to get the permission to speak. I mean, actually, sorry, the Panthers could have just been like, "No, you're not going to get permission to speak." I don't know. Like, organizers rarely do that. I mean, Kyle Dubas, I think, was allowed to speak to the Avs about their opening way back in the day before the Leafs were like, okay, we're gonna have to bump this guy up.
Yeah.
The part about it though is with the Devils also pushing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do the Leafs go out and get a potential like?
We talked about this a couple days ago, right, Dave? Like, we talked about how, like, they kind of need to figure it out, because you might lose out on the guy you want as your GM, but, like, you got to get a president in place, or are you willing to do that? Are you willing to hire a GM and saddle him up with whatever president you decide? Because I can almost guarantee you, like, Sunny Mehta is not the general manager who... He's the type of general manager that you need to insulate with a president role on top of that, right? So you're not going to let the president pick his own man, and then there's going to be like some sort of... There could potentially be like a power struggle, unless you go with someone who he's worked with before. Like, I know Chris Pronger has been brought up as a potential president candidate. Him and Sunny Mehta obviously worked together in Florida for quite some time, so there is a bit of a link there. But it still, would be a very weird thing to do, to hire a GM first and then hire a president to go above him, and then not let that president pick his own general manager. It would be, kind of out of order. But if you are dead set on Sunny Mehta, and it almost sounds like the Maple Leafs are, even, the search firm that they hired almost links Mehta to the Maple Leafs. Might be the way to go. Like, I don't know. It's kind of a very interesting. It does, like, I do wonder, who's running things here. And it sounds almost like Keith Pelly wants to make this decision anyways. So if he's going to have a lot of influence on this decision as the president of MLSE, then I guess you might as well go and get Sunny Mehta, and whoever comes in as the president kind of just got to kind of sit on it and suck on it, like, at the end of the day.
Yeah, again, we talked about, even when Ron Francis just kind of, it was not surprising that Francis stepped down, but a little curious of the timing of that announcement. So you wonder if there was a bit of, maybe potentially he wants to get himself out into the, if he knew, again, like a Brad Treliving sort of move, you knew maybe they weren't going to bring you back. There's options out there. So you want to go out and get yourself a potential, opportunity. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna be interesting to see how this all plays out. Now, I did see. I don't know if this is certain, but did MLSC also send out a statement about the search firm stuff?
Oh,
Where they confirmed Neil Glassberg was going to help retain to assist in the search?
I didn't. Pelly defends hiring of controversial search. I am seeing this. What did he say?
So this
Pelly's downplayed concerns. Pelly is compiling his own list of candidates that will be merged with Gladsberg's. Pelly framed the hire as a way to add value and manage the search process more effectively, despite public skepticism. Do you see anything different?
Yeah, no, it was a similar. It's just that they retained they basically confirmed that they retained them in the search.
Mm-hmm.
The integrity, they wanted to make sure the integrity remains above all, and not providing updates or confirmation on potential candidates during the process. Now, interesting, you and I both follow the NFL pretty closely. In the NFL, teams actually have to disclose candidates that they interview for head coach, GM, whatever role. Like they have to they actually put out confirmation. Like they put out, these are the people we've interviewed. Now, part of that I think has to do with the Rooney Rule, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
You know, it's just very interesting to see the NHL now. Like it was reported, so now the Leafs have to kind of address it. And they say they maintain there's integrity remains with this. Well, we shall see. But the fact the Leafs had to respond to that shows that there was some questions that needed to be answered through this.
Yeah, and I'm not sure we necessarily got any answers there.
Nope.
To be completely honest, but
that is very much corporate speak right there.
Yeah.
Provide an answer without providing an answer.
No, exactly. So, regardless, we'll kind of see how everything plays out. But yeah, they've officially, have sought permission to interview or to speak with Sunny Mehta. And the fact that they're seeking permission to speak with general managers before having a president in place, I do find to be a little weird. Does that mean that Pelly will have more of a hands-on role than he let on? Or is this just like the one guy who they want no matter what, and they're just going to go after him? Possibly. Based on what Pelly said he wants in this role, Mehta does check all the boxes. But they would have to bring in a more senior hockey individual above him to fill the president's role. It's just a little out of order for me, but
I do think maybe they have a president lined up, and if that's who they I don't know.
Okay, sure. You haven't heard of anyone of them talking to anybody? No permission that they're asking to speak to anyone. So who that could be, I do not know. I guess we'll find out, Dave. Well, maybe there'll be some more news on this throughout the week. All right, that'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all platforms and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti, and follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. We'll be back with another episode for you guys on Monday. Enjoy the game tomorrow night, Leafs Panthers. Until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.